Hi, I'm Michelle Jenkins with Grandma Michelle's Art Studio, and today we're going to be working with pigments. These are the Color Art Primary Elements pigments, and we're going to be creating a paint, and then we're going to be putting it with an acrylic binder, and then mixing it with a pouring medium, and I'm going to do 2 ring pours, and one with a black base and one with a white base. So let me get us set up. So here's just a quick visual of the items that I'm going to be using today. This is the acrylic binder and the pouring medium that is provided with the Color Arts pigment. Then I have 6 pigments: ginger flower, sapphire on ice, pixie dust, boysenberry, peacock feather, and arctic opal. For my black base, I'm going to be using Artist Loft Metallic Black, and for the white base, I'm going to be using Amsterdam White. Okay, so I've mixed up most of my Color Art pigments, but I wanted to show you one of them. So what it is it's this dry powder, and this is the pigment. So this is what paint is made of. And what I'm gonna mix it with is this Vivid Enamel Tintable Paint Base. This is an acrylic binder, and so what I'm gonna do is just put a small amount in there, maybe a quarter size. And I'm going to stir the pigment into this binder, and that's what's going to make the paint. And I have to stir it quite a bit just to get it dissolved. And it's going to be, let's say, a soft body paint when it's finished. So I'm right now turning pigment into paint. And the thing is that I added, you noticed, quite a bit of pigment to the little bit of base. So what I would expect to happen is when I pour this on a canvas and it dries, what remains is the pigment, because the enamel base is clear, dries clear, and the pouring medium is going to dry clear. So I expect to have vivid colors and a lot of pigment on the canvas. So right now, here's the consistency. Can you see that? It's pretty thick. And look at how vivid these colors are. See that? It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so what I'm going to mix my black and white with is this Amsterdam pouring medium. I'm going to give that a try, and I'm only going to add to the cup just a smidge, just a little bit, and then I'm going to mix it with Floetrol. I just want to add the pouring medium to offer more of a binder than the Floetrol adds. So I'll be right back. Okay, so while you were on hold, I added Floetrol to my pouring medium. So I had pouring medium to about here, Floetrol to about here, and then I'll put my white and black in. But I wanted to go ahead and add my pouring medium to these paints that I just made. So I'm going to use what Color Art sends with their pigments, and this is Vivid Polypore. And so I'm going, oops, I'll do the first one, and then I'll put you on pause and do the rest. So for this is the pouring medium. So this is the amount that what this is going to do is help the paint flow across the canvas, and I want to add enough so that I get the amount of paint that I want and also get the consistency. Because this was a soft body paint, I may end up having to add water to it to get it more fluid. Beautiful. Nice light blue color. It's got a little iridescence to it. And since I'm doing a ring pour, it doesn't have to be all that thin. I don't want cells, so I don't want it to be overly thin. I want it a little bit thick. It's got a little bit of a mound, but I think I'll add some water to it. When I add water, I add 90% water to 10% Floetrol. And just a reminder, we only add a few drops at a time because the paint needs to expand and contract to accept the water. And you can only do so much of that at a time, so we just add a little bit of water at a time. It's actually, to me, looks like a pretty good consistency. I do have some air bubbles in there. We can torch that later, but I may let it sit a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and mix up my black and white and my other colors with the pouring medium, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have all of my paints mixed up. They are pigments mixed with the binder, mixed with the pouring medium. I have a little bit of a thicker consistency. You can see it's got a little bit of a mound. My blacks and whites are mixed, and so what I'm going to do is 2 cups, one with a black base, or one that I'll use with the black base, one I'll use with the white base. Actually, I think I'll just do one at a time. How about that? Let's just do one at a time. Let's go ahead and put our base coat on. Now the reason why we want a base coat is so that the paint moves across the canvas. What happens is it'll walk over each other if you don't have a base. Now for a ring pour, we could just put the paint, we could just circle the paint around the ring. That would be a fine idea too, because we're going to be tilting it quite a bit, and so as long as the ring has a way to move across the base, we're good. It could be by making sure that the sides are covered at this point, or just by, like I said, putting a circle of paint around the ring to allow it to move. In this case, I just decided to do a base, so a full base. So my base coat is finished. I'm not going to worry about the sides because I'm going to be tilting it. And so, can you see? Let's see. I think you can. I am going to start this. I don't want cells, so I don't care for white in my cup. And I don't know the density of these, so I'm just going to pour some paint in the cup and let's see what we get. So we probably should be going high contrast, low contrast in order to get the rings to look divided in their color. If I do all dark colors and then all light colors, it's not going to look real pretty. So let me just add some dark colors, some light colors, go back to dark. Oops. I love these pigments. Remember, the pigment is what's going to stick to the canvas. So having a highly pigmented pour here, it should result in something very pretty. And I want to reserve at least half of my paint for the black base. So to see what these colors look like with a different background. So there are calculators out there for how much paint you need. I'm using a 9x12 canvas, so I'm thinking it should be close to 5 ounces in paint. And if I were to put these layers a little thicker, then my rings would be bigger. So let's just see how that works. And if I wanted cells, if this was a pour where I wanted cells, then I would pour down the center instead of on the side, but I want to minimize my cells because this is a ring pour. I think I'm getting close to being done with my cup here. Okay, that's probably not 5 ounces, but it's what we're going with. So let's back to the center of the screen, and let's do a ring. There's no silicone in these. Slow down that ring just a little to give it some texture. I probably could have added some white in there, and I intended to break up the color some. But I expect that because it's got so much pigment in it that it's going to dry the color it is wet. So in other words, it's going to be very vibrant in its color. Look at that cup. Isn't it pretty? Okay. Now I did have quite a bit of bubbling in this. I probably could have waited to pour it. So I want to get rid of the bubbles. I don't know if you can see the beautiful vibrancy. I love that peacock greenish color, and the blue is very bright as well. I think this is going to look really nice on a black base. I want to preserve my paint, so I'm going close to the edge, but not quite. I can see that red in there, the magenta color. I don't know if you can see it from there, but there are some stripes of that magenta. I love these little fingerlings on the side with that Amsterdam white. So we're okay with that base color going off the side. I kind of like those fingerlings. But for composition's sake, let's take a look at that and see. Let that sit there for just a minute. I'm seeing some air bubbles, so I'm going to pop those before I tilt it anymore. Oh, those colors are so brilliant. Question is, do I want to get rid of the white or do I want to leave some of the white? I'm feeling like I want to leave some of the white. So So did I get enough paint off? Because if I don't get enough paint off, then it'll be too thick and it'll crack. I don't want that. Okay, that's really pretty. Aiming for a little toothpick here so I can pop some of these bubbles that I see. Okay, so that is these colors on a white base. I'm going to pause you and get my canvas ready for the black base. I forgot to mention that I'm going to go ahead and clean up the sides here as well, because I noticed that since I did, when I put on the base coat, since I didn't put white on the sides, I'm going to need to go back and add some white to the sides since I didn't tilt it off. I didn't tilt the pigments off entirely. So I'm going to clean that up as well. Okay, so I'm ready to do my black base. I did use the metallic Artist Loft, as I mentioned previously, but it wasn't quite as black as I wanted it to be. So I did add to that some golden carbon black, just a little bit of the golden carbon black. And because I liked the composition without tilting it all the way on the last piece, I'm going to go ahead and cover all of the sides on this piece. It was a composition choice to not tilt it off on every side, and this is art, so we get to make those choices as much as we want. Let me get out the big boy here. Love this metallic black. I'm interested to see how it's going to work with these pigments. I've not used the metallic black before. Got a little shimmer to it. Probably better off not as a base. Probably better off in a pour. And I'm wondering if I might add the black to this pour. I didn't do that with the white. Again, composition choice. And I like it without having it disturbed by the stark white, but because this is a metallic black, I'm thinking that it will actually look really nice to have some of the black in with the ring. So let's give it a try. We're going to layer our cup, and because I didn't pay attention to exactly how it was layered, but I love this green color. I don't know if I actually showed you the consistency. It's got a little bit of a mound. I love this green color, so I want it to appear in the center. The blue and the yellow of this brand are in the Bling It category. They're marked a little different, and the consistency of them is really kind of interesting. It's almost like a frothy ice cream, like ice cream that you left out too long. Let's add a little bit of this black and see what happens. Whereas the other 4 colors that I'm using are, they're creamy, more creamy consistency. And so I'll go back to my previous video and mention that the consistency, as long as you're consistent amongst the colors in the one pour, it's okay to have it thicker or thinner. You just want your consistency to be the same with each other during this pour. If I wanted more cells, I would have thinned this paint a little so that it could move vertically on the canvas. Also, if I wanted cells, I'd probably be adding more black or white, or figuring it out, the density layers. Okay. Really excited for this one. Clearly we're using more paint on this canvas than we did on the other one. A little bit more left. I will be tilting this one a little bit more, that means, because I don't want the paint to be too thick in the center. Last little bit of blue. I really dig these pigments. Leslie Unstead from Color Art also has some great videos on paints and pigments and understanding how to make them work. Okay, so here we go. We are going to do a ring pour. Oh, so already I'm seeing a difference in the colors, which is really interesting. I wonder why that is. I must have layered them a little different. Well, I know I did because I didn't pay attention to how I layered them the first time. I like the brightness of that green against the dark black. Ooh, and that purple. Ooh, the magenta. I have pins under my canvas, and I think they got stuck in my rack because I'm not all that level right this second, but that's okay. Won't be the end of the world. This is art. Okay, so let me get that fixed. Back to the center. Against the black, it just looks so much more vibrant. Is that my imagination? Look how pink that pink is. I can even see the yellow in this one. I feel like the black did leave vibrancy, but I'm not, composition-wise, wanting the black to show in the corners like I did the white. I really liked the white in the corners on that other one. So bye-bye metallic black. And so also interestingly, it hasn't been that long since we did the white one, and yet I don't have nearly as many bubbles in this pour as I did the first one. So I'm not crazy about the center. Oops, drip. It's okay. Let's just start. We can make it work. So I think I'm gonna actually just manipulate that just a tad. Make that more of a center. Let's see if we can't fix those lines a little. Where that drop was. Did I get enough paint off of the canvas? Wow, that pink shines brightly. And again, because I used pigments, I expect that it's going to dry just as vivid as it is now. So I'm going to pause the video and bring you down to take a look at it. Can you see? Glare on there, sorry. Okay, well, that's it for today. Thank you so much. I enjoyed you participating in this experiment, and have fun.